sa mga tingin ko pwedeng pagkuhanan ng tanong. Okay? So first question natin. Ayan. So Maria was imprisoned for 8 months before being acquitted. So how much is the maximum compensation she may receive? Anong sagot niyo dito, mga kapatid? Ang sagot ay bravo. Okay? So the correct answer is bravo. So take note, this is under the Victim Compensation Program under the DOJ. So para mabigyan natin ng compensation yung mga naging biktima, nag-create ng Republic Act 7309. Okay? And then yung batas na yon ay nag-create din ng tinatawag na Board of Claims. So doon pinaprocess ngayon yung Victim Compensation Program doon sa Board of Claims. So para sa mga biktima ng unjust imprisonment or detention, pwede silang makakuha ng maximum 60,000 pero 1,000 per month yung computation. Okay? And then for the victims of violent crimes naman, ang pwede nilang makuha ay maximum of 10,000 pesos. So dahil si Maria ay nakulong ng 8 months before being acquitted, dahil nga ang computation natin ay 1,000 per month, then the answer would be bravo. Okay? So what about for this question? Ana suffered injuries from a violent crime and spent 15,000 for treatment. So what is the maximum amount she may receive? Okay, so si Ana na nagsuffer ng injuries dahil sa violent crime ay gumastos ng 15,000. Okay, ilan ang pwede niyang ma-receive under the Victim Compensation Program? Okay, so kahit pa yan ay gumastos ng 100,000 ng 1,000,000. Okay, ang pwede lang makuha ni Ana according to the law is 10,000. So that is the maximum amount na pwedeng makuha ng mga victims ng violent crimes, 10,000. Okay? So which applicant best qualifies under Republic Act 7309? Is it Alpha, a detainee released after plea bargaining? Bravo, a person acquitted after wrongful imprisonment? Charlie, a suspect freed due to lack of witnesses? Or Delta, Supreme Court? So sino dyan sa mga applicant ang qualified for Victim Compensation Program under Republic Act 7309? First, that is a person acquitted after wrongful imprisonment. Okay, the answer would be bravo. Kaya naman yung mga victims ng violent crimes. Next question. Ayan. So in case of death or incapacity of any person entitled to any award under this act, the claim may be filed by his heirs in the following order. So ano yung pagkakasunod-sunod? Sino yung mga pwedeng makinabang kapag yung isang tao ay namatay na or di kaya they are incapacitated para kuhanin yung kanilang kumbaga parang award. Si Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, or Delta? Sino ba yung unang makikinabang? Kung alam mo kung sino yung unang makakakuha, okay, nung kanilang claim, madali mong makukuha yung tamang sagot. Okay? Of course, that is the Charlie. Mauuna po muna yung asawa. Ayan. Pagkatapos, kung wala yung asawa, yung anak. Ayan. Kung wala yung anak, yung kanyang parents. Kung wala po yung parents, yung brothers or sister na. Okay, so the answer is Charlie. So we'll proceed with the different approaches to psychotherapy. Okay, so there are 5 approaches to psychotherapy. We have the psychoanalysis, or also known as psychodynamic therapy. We have the behavior therapy, the cognitive behavioral therapy, humanistic therapy, and then yung integrative therapy. Okay, so aralin natin anong pinagkaiba ng 5 yan. Okay, parang hindi ko to nakita during the long quiz and the P2 exam. So baka lang may lumabas sa inyong final exam. Okay, So psychoanalysis, what are the things you need to remember? Okay, so it focuses on changing problematic behavior, feelings and thoughts, at paano niya yung ginagawa. Okay? Ang key term na kailangan yung matandaan with psychoanalysis or psychodynamic therapy, ginagamot niya yung mga problematic behavior, yung mga feelings and thoughts by discovering unconscious memories and past experiences. So dito, para magamot yung behavior ng isang tao, kailangan niyang bumalik sa nakaraan. Kasi according to some of the psychologists, okay, na ang ugali ng isang tao, meron daw kinalaman yung kanyang nakaraan. Okay? Di ba kaya nga minsan, di ba kayo nagtataka kung bakit yung mga ibang tao ay ayaw nang makipagrelasyon? Baka pala nung nakaraan ay sobrang nasaktan, iniwan, di ba? Dinurog ang kanyang puso. So maaaring kaya pala ayaw niya nang makipagrelasyon kasi may ganun siyang nakaraan, di ba? Kung ano daw yung ugali na meron ka ngayon, kung paano yung behavior mo, may kinalaman yung nakaraan. Okay? So anong method ang ginagamit dito ng mga therapist natin? So gumagamit sila ng dream analysis, yung mga panaginip na meron ka, meron siyang equivalent na kahulugan sa nararanasan mo ngayon. Hindi katulad yan sa Pilipinas, di ba, na kapag ka ikaw ay nanaginip ng ahas, ang magandang gawin mo dyan ay tayaan mo ng weteng. Di ba? So sa psychoanalysis, hindi ganon. Okay? Ang panaginip mo, ay meron siyang equivalent na kahulugan based on your behavior. And then, the other one is free association. Hinahayaan yung isang tao na magkwento ng magkwento hanggang sa malaman yung punot dulo kung bakit siya nagkakaganon. Okay, so that is for psychoanalysis. Again, tinitreat yung mga bad behavior or problematic behavior sa papaanong paraan, bumabalik sa nakaraan, sa mga childhood experiences, sa mga past experiences. Okay? Oops. What about the next? Behavior therapy. So sa behavior therapy naman, these are the things that you need to remember. It seeks to identify and help change potentially self-destructive or unhealthy behaviors. Okay? How? Paano niya ginagawa yon? By turning the negative behavior into positive behavior through application of therapy. So, yung behavior therapy kasi, there are different branches of behavior therapy. And one of those is psychoanalysis. Kumbaga, ang kailangan nyo nalang tandaan dito, if the question is in general, say for example, what therapy is used to change negative or bad behavior? Diba? General yung tanong, ang isasagot mo palagi, behavior therapy. Kaya mo isasagot yung iba kapag kaya specific na. Diba? Example, what therapy may be used to change negative or bad behavior by going back to past experiences? Diba? Kapag ka nagiging specific na, going back to past experiences, paano mo babaguhin yung bad or negative behavior? That is psychoanalysis or psychodynamic therapy. Ganun siya. Okay? So, these are the following examples of behavioral therapy that can be used. Yung CBT, and the cognitive behavioral therapy, aversion therapy, and system desensitization. Pasensya na, wrong spelling yung system desensitization. Mali. Okay, pakitama nyo na lang. Ano? By the way, yung aversion therapy, saan yan ginagamit? Ginagamit yan to treat yung mga vices. And kapag may mga addiction, ayan, sa isang bagay, katulad ng pag-inom ng alak, paninigarilyo, ang pwede dyan, aversion therapy. Kapag naman, system desensitization, ang tinitreat dyan, yung mga phobia. Okay, phobias. Applicable yan for phobias. So, take note of that. Okay? Next one, this is the cognitive behavioral therapy. So, things to remember, it focuses on the thoughts, the feelings, emotions, and physical sensations. They are interconnected. So, sabi dyan, ang pag-iisip, ang nararamdaman, ang physical sensation ng isang tao, they are interconnected. Pero saan nakafocus ang cognitive behavioral therapy? Okay? Take note, nakafocus lang yan doon sa negative thoughts. Kailangan nilang baguhin yung negative thoughts into positive thoughts or from negative thinking to positive thinking. Kasi kapag yung isang tao daw ay nag-iisip ng negatibo, ganun na rin yung kanyang magiging feeling. Diba? Hindi na rin magiging maganda yung kanyang pakiramdam, yung kanyang emosyon ay kumbaga papangit din, as well as the physical sensation. Kaya nga kung iisipin mong babagsak ka sa POA, and the rest will follow. Anong gagawin ng katawan mo? Tatamarin ka na rin. Malulungkot ka na rin. Hindi ka na magre-review. Diba? Ganyan yung nangyayari kapag negative thinker ang isang tao, may negative thoughts. Sunod na dyan yung kanyang emotion. Pero kung iisipin mong ikaw ay papasa, kaya mo, anong mangyayari dun sa magiging actions mo? What will happen with your feelings, emotion, and physical sensation? Diba? At the same time, kung positive ang thinking mo, magiging positive din yung kanyang emotion and physical sensation. So that is how CBT works. Okay? From negative thoughts, gagawin niya lang positive thoughts. So examples of the cognitive behavioral techniques are self-reflection, breathing techniques, and identifying faulty thinking. Okay? Isa lang sa disadvantage nito, hindi siya nakafocus or hindi niya tinitignan yung mga past experiences, but rather nakafocus lang siya dun sa current experience or present experience ng isang tao. Okay? Also known as collaborative effort between a therapist and the client. Then next one is humanistic approach. Okay? So things to remember in humanistic approach, yung subjective experiences. Take note of this. Okay? Subjective experiences. When we say subjective experiences, personal perception and internal understanding of the world around us. Lahat ng tao daw ay merong subjective experiences. Ano ang trabaho ng therapist sa humanistic approach? Ang trabaho niya lang dito ay listener. Hindi siya pwedeng mag-comment, hindi siya pwedeng magbigay ng payo. Ang pwede niya lang gawin ay makinig. Okay, so ang paniniwala kasi sa humanistic approach na ang isang tao ay isinilang na mabuti. Kaya balang araw, malalaman niya rin kung ano yung tama at kung paano niya gagawin ang tama. Okay, palagi ko yung sinasabi sa mga interns ko sa mail. Ang ina-apply ko palagi, humanistic approach. Pero para sa akin talaga, katulad ng ibang mga psychologists, ang sabi nila, wala daw kwenta ang humanistic approach. Hindi siya applicable. Kasi kung hahayaan mo lang ang isang tao na ma-figure out, yung balang araw, tamang gagawin niya, disaster, magiging demonyo, mga damunyos. Okay, kung hindi mo sila susuwayin, haantayin mo lang na sila ay magbago, damunyos talaga. Okay? Sira ang buhay mo. Okay? So, take note that the therapist in this therapy acts as a non-judgmental, respectful listener who guides the therapeutic process. They acknowledge your experience without trying to shift the conversation in another direction. So dito, wala kang salitang gagawin, makikinig ka lang. Okay? Kaya nga pagka minsan may mga kaibigan tayong nagsasabi sa atin, di ba? Ano na yan eh? Hindi mo na tawag dito, ano term sa Tagalog yun? Baga hindi mo lang yung term, pero nagagawa mo na pala siya. Kapag may nagsasabi sa'yo at wala kang sinasabi, wala kang ginagawa, that is already humanistic approach. Kumbaga parang hindi ka magbibigay ng comment, makikinig ka lang. Intindihin mo yung tao kasi yung mga tao daw ay may subjective experiences. Maaaring yung pinagdadaanan niya ay para sa'yo magaan, pero para sa kanya napakabigat na nun. Kaya hindi ka po pwedeng magbigay ng comment na ang dali-dali pa lang ng pinagdadaanan mo, wala pa nga yan sa problema ko. Hindi po pwede sa humanistic approach yun. Okay? Hindi mo siya pwedeng husgahan base dun sa kanyang pinagdadaanan niya kasi nga daw ang isang tao ay may iba't ibang subjective experiences. Maaaring yung problemang pinagdadaanan niya ay napakabigat pero sa iyo magaan lang kasi natapos ka na doon. Pero hindi mo siya po pwedeng husgahan. Okay, hayaan mo lang siya na ma-figure out yung mga tamang gawin. Okay? That is for humanistic approach. Next, integrative therapy. So for integrative therapy, these are the things you need to remember. Okay? It focuses on the relationship between the mind, the body, and spirit. Okay? So hindi siya katulad ng CBT na ang focus lang ay negative thoughts or thinking. Dito sa integrative therapy, tinitreat niya lahat as a whole, the mind, the body, and spirit. So kapag ka nagbigay yung therapist dito ng mga session or ng mga techniques, kailangan natitreat yung mind, nagkakaroon ng peace yung mind, nagkakaroon ng relaxation yung body, and then yung spirit, nagkakaroon kumbaga ng good relationship with the environment. By the way, yung spirit na tinutukoy dito, hindi yung kaluluwa or espiritu. Ang tinutukoy na spirit dito, yung relationship mo with your environment, with the people revolving around you. Hindi yung kaluluwa. Baka kasi pumunta kayo ng albularyo at sabihin mo, boss, pwede ba integrative therapy? May problema yung kaluluwa ko eh. Hindi pwede. So, selecting techniques from different therapeutic orientation. Okay? So, dahil nasa integrative therapy, gumagamit kasi tayo dito ng combination of technique that is suited in our client's problem. Okay? So, we can select what are the best techniques na pwede natin gamitin. Ang problema lang sa integrative therapy, nakasalalay ang treatment dito sa therapist, hindi doon sa client. Bakit? Kasi yung therapist ang pipili ng technique. At kung yung technique na pipiliin niya ay palpak din yung magiging treatment. Okay? So yun lang naman yung cons ng integrative therapy. Okay? So punta tayo sa mga katanungan. Ayan. So why is humanistic therapy considered difficult to study scientifically? Ano ang sagot niyo dito? Again, comment box tayo. Comment box. Si Talpa, it uses combination of technique. B, it places emphasis on subjective experiences. Charlie, it focuses on changing the negative thoughts. Or Delta, it focuses on childhood issues exclusively. Di ba tandaan lang natin yung mga keyword? Kapag ka humanistic therapy, ang tinutukoy natin dito, subjective experiences. That's why the answer is Bravo. Ano yung alpha? It uses combination of techniques. Di ba? That is for integrative therapy or also known as holistic therapy. Okay? Integrative therapy or holistic therapy. What about Charlie? Changing the negative thoughts. Di ba? That is cognitive behavioral therapy. And then yung Delta naman, focusing on childhood issues, that is the psychoanalysis, okay? Or psychodynamic therapy. Next, therapy that is brief, goal-focused, and supported by strong scientific evidence for its effectiveness. So ano yung therapy na maiksi lang ang gamutan? It is goal-focused, which is supported by strong scientific evidence for its effectiveness. So wala ito sa slide, kaya ako yung sasagot, that is cognitive behavioral therapy. Okay, take note that the cognitive behavioral therapy, that is only a brief, maiksi lang yung gamutan, it is goal-focused, kasi nga, nakapokus lang yan doon sa current problem ng isang tao, and it is supported by a strong scientific evidence. Marami ang nagsasabi na very effective ang CBT. Okay, sa pag-treat ng mga behavioral problems ng isang tao. Okay? While psychoanalysis, hindi po yan brief. Napakatagal na gamutan yan kasi ang babalikan mo dyan past experiences. So imaginein mo na lang, babalik ka sa past experiences. Hindi mo yan magagawa ng ganun kabilis. Ganun din yung integrative therapy. Hindi siya brief kasi gagamit ka pa ng multiple techniques. At yung humanistic ay hindi rin brief kasi nga hahayaan mo yung tao na ma-figure out kung ano yung tama sa mali. Okay? Next. So a client complains that their therapy feels too optimistic, assuming everyone is naturally good, but it does not consider the limits of their real life circumstances. So which treatment model shows this advantage? Maghanap tayo ng keyword sa question. Sit Alpha, psychoanalysis, Bravo, cognitive behavioral therapy, Charlie, humanistic approach, or Delta, integrative therapy. Ano yung sagot nyo dito? A client complains that their therapy feels too optimistic, assuming everyone is naturally good. Diba? Ang binanggit ko kanina, sa humanistic approach or humanistic therapy, ang tingin niya sa isang tao ay isinilang na mabuti. Yun yung keyword natin. So therefore, the answer is humanistic approach. Pasensya na, yung bilog, masyadong malaki, humanistic approach po yan. Hindi siya integrative therapy. Okay? Humanistic approach. Next question. So which therapy is most effective for uncovering unconscious motivation? Ano ang sagot dito? Is it CBT, humanistic therapy, psychoanalysis, or behavior therapy? Okay, so nagigets nyo na kapag ka unconscious yung unconscious motivation yan, galing yan sa mga childhood experiences, past experiences, the answer would be, oops, mali. Psychoanalysis ang sagot. Mali yung bilog. Okay, pasensya na. Uncovering unconscious motivation, that is psychoanalysis. Again, psychoanalysis, not behavior therapy. Next question, which approach should be applied to someone struggling with exam anxiety due to irrational thinking? Ano yung pwede nating gamiting approach or therapy kapag yung isang estudyante ay nagkakaroon ng anxiety due to irrational thinking? So irrational thinking, kumbaga meron siyang negative thoughts, di ba? So the answer would be cognitive behavioral therapy. Okay, CBT ang sagot natin. Then, next. A prison psychologist must evaluate which model is most suitable for antisocial inmates. So what should be chosen? So for antisocial, anong magiging sagot natin? So a prison psychologist must evaluate which model is most suitable for antisocial inmates. What should be chosen? That is behavior therapy. Bakit behavior therapy? Kasi nga in general, wala siyang ini-specify kung dahil ba yan sa kanyang past experiences, dahil ba yan sa kanyang irrational thinking or negative thoughts, dahil ba yan sa kanyang subjective experiences, di ba wala naman? So ibig sabihin, ang tanong na ito ay general. Okay? Kapag ka general ang tanong, anong isasagot natin? Behavior therapy. Pero kung naka-specify dyan, di ba? Baguhin natin ha. A prison psychologist must evaluate which model is most suitable for antisocial inmates because of past experiences. Magbabago yung magiging sagot, magiging psychoanalysis. Because of negative thinking, magbabago din yung magiging sagot. Nagets nyo? Nakuha ba? Mag-type nga ng K kung nakuha. Okay, so next tayo. A client struggles with repetitive negative thoughts that trap them into a cycle of anxiety. Which therapeutic model would be most effective to help break this cycle? So, nandito na yung keyword natin, negative thoughts, repetitive negative thoughts. Ano yung gagamitin natin? Of course, that is cognitive behavioral therapy. Okay? Next, types of integrative therapy. So, apat yan. Meron tayong 4 types of integrative therapy. We have the cognitive behavioral therapy, the family systems therapy, Gestalt therapy, and then the psychodynamic therapy. So, hindi ko na i-explain yung 1 and yung 4 kasi na-explain na natin yan kanina. Okay, so we'll explain what is family systems therapy and Gestalt therapy. So take note, under the family systems therapy, it looks how family members affect each other. Okay, kumbaga, kapag may problema dapat ang isang tao, ang una niyang nagiging takbuhan ay ang kanyang pamilya. Okay? Kasi kung may problema, sabihin na natin, padre de pamilya, may problema, di ba naapektuhan din yung mga anak or yung asawa? Okay, so kailangan i-solve nila yung problem within the family. Okay, so it helps families learn to communicate and solve problems together. Okay, so kung ang tinatanong dito nakakasama yung pamilya on how they communicate and solve problems together, that is the family systems therapy. Okay, while the Gestalt therapy naman, it helps you focus on what's happening right now. May mga pagkakataon kasi na bigla na lang tayong tulala, di ba? Na hindi natin alam kung ano yung nangyayari sa atin. Minsan nakahiga ka lang pero ang lungkot-lungkot mo pero wala namang nangyayari sa'yo. Ang pwedeng maging therapy dyan is yung Gestalt therapy. Kapag sobra na yung lungkot mo at wala namang nangyayari sa'yo talaga, diba, wala ka naman talagang problema, maybe you need Gestalt therapy para matulungan ka ng therapist ma-explain sa'yo on what is happening right now. Okay, bakit mo nararamdaman yan? So it helps to build self-awareness and helps understand how their behavior fits into real life. Ganon yung Gestalt therapy. Yeah. So let's put that into question. Which therapy focuses on self-awareness and what is happening in the present moment, their thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, and gaining perspective as to how that relates to their reality. Okay? So pagkaya na yung self-awareness, pinofocus ka niya on self-awareness, kung ano yung nangyayari at the present moment, ay baka pala kaya ka nalang biglang naluluha, dahil sa mga nararanasan mong trauma noon. Ayan. So that is Gestalt therapy. Okay? So proceed tayo dun sa phases in BJMP Therapeutic Community Program. But before we proceed, okay lang ba kung ituloy natin yung discussion mamayang hapon? Sensya na kayo, hindi ako nakapag-almusal at talagang nararamdaman ko na yung kalam ng aking sikmura. Okay? Nangangagat na yung mga bulati ko sa tiyan kasi insist the newly admitted resident to engage into his or her treatment. So dito nga sa entry or orientation phase, dito nabibigyan ng Big Brother yung mga bagong admit na mga PDL. Okay, so take note, under the entry or orientation phase, dito sila nabibigyan ng tinatawag na Big Brother na mag-a-assist sa kanila all throughout their phases in the BJMP Therapeutic Community Program. So there are also series of examination to determine his physical, social, and psychological status, and upon his commitment, the resident is placed on orientation at the reception and diagnostic room. So ano ba yung ginagawa sa entry or orientation phase? So take note, kapag ka-entry or orientation phase, nasaan ba located yung mga PDL natin? So makikita sila doon sa reception and diagnostic room. So, ang entry phase natin ay nagtatagal yan ng up to 30 days. Okay, so the main goal is to assess yung mga newly admitted PDL kung saan sila dapat ilagay. Sino ba dapat yung kasama nila sa mga cells nila or sa mga room. Okay? So, mahirap naman kasi na hindi muna magkakaroon ng entry or orientation without conducting different assessment, katulad na lang ng medical, ng dental, ayan, di ba? Ng breathing, kasama din yan. Kasama na lahat yan sa entry or orientation phase. So dito nagkakaroon ng initial classification. So the purpose of the entry or the orientation phase is to know the inmate before you treat the inmate. So kailangan muna siyang kilalanin bago siya matreat ng maayos. So ang involved dito is yung warden, of course, the custodial personnel, the medical, the classification board, the welfare and development officer, and then of course teamwork yan to assess. Okay, kung saan ba dapat ilalagay yung newly admitted na mga resident. Again, nagtatagal yan ng up to 30 days. Okay, so after that, we'll proceed with the primary or the core treatment. So dito naman, ang target na natin dito is to treat. Okay, kaya nga siya tinawag na primary treatment. Ang pinaka-target dito is to treat the newly admitted resident. Diba? Dito na papasok ngayon yung 4-pillar programs ng BJMP. So part na din dito yung pagturo sa kanila or pag-undergo ng moral and spiritual program, yung educational and vocational training, health and welfare program, and then yung work and livelihood program. So lahat ng 4-pillar programs ng BJMP na yon is under ng primary treatment or core treatment. Di ba nga sa educational, they will be undergoing education, yung mga hindi nakatapos ng high school, mag-aaral dyan. Okay? Vocational training, tuturuan sila ng mga skill. So by the way, sa education, ang responsible dyan ay yung DepEd at ang program na i-undergo ng mga resident natin is yung tinatawag na ALS or the Alternative Learning System. So sa vocational naman, ang responsible dyan is the TESDA in providing them skills katulad nga ng pag-welding, electricity, carpentry, and so on. So aside from that, they must be also knowledgeable on the following. Number 1, the proper use of different tools to address personal issues and concerns and shape behavior. So dito yung paggamit ng behavioral shaping tool. Okay? Also, the BJMP is expecting that they can manage their own feeling and learn how to express self-appropriately. Kaya nga, di ba, kung minsan meron tayong mga counseling, group counseling, ayan. So, isa yan sa mga matututunan nila. And then, learning how to follow the rules and norms of the community. So, during the orientation phase pa lang, dinidiscuss na sa kanila or nagkakaroon na ng briefing, what are the rules that needs to be followed. So, sa primary treatment, kailangan alam na nila yan. Kailangan hindi sila nakaka-violate ng rules and regulation inside the jail. Okay? And then, they also need to maximize participation in activities and learning how to trust the environment by disclosing self to the community. Okay? Then next one is the pre-reentry. Okay? So, after the primary or the core treatment, we'll proceed with the phase 3 or pre-reentry. So, saan nakapokus ang pre-reentry? Take note that it focuses on rebuilding of relationship with family. Okay? Kasi alam naman natin, di ba, kapag minsan yung mga nakukulong, kung meron man dito may mga pamilya na nakulong, minsan mahirap, kumbaga parang mahirap i-accept na yung pamilya mo na nakulong ay babalik sa community, parang ang iniisip kasi ay kasiraan sa pamilya, magiging issue, magiging chismis. Malaking problema kasi yan kapag hindi siya kayang tanggapin ng mismong pamilya niya. Okay? Imagine na lang kung yung ikaw mismo na pamilya hindi kayang tanggapin yung kapamilya mo na nakulong, what more pa kaya yung mismong community na hindi naman siya kaano-ano. That's why that's the purpose of pre-reentry. We need to rebuild the relationship with the family. We need to explain bakit kailangan siyang tulungan, bakit kailangan siyang kumbaga alalayan. Okay? So family involvement in the treatment process will be increased during this phase. So gaano yan katagal? Okay, so ikakandak yung pre-reentry for a period of 4 weeks. So take note of that, for a period of 4 weeks. So all interventions started in this phase will be continued in the succeeding phase. So of course, after the pre-reentry, we'll proceed now with re-entry. Kung yung focus ng pre-reentry ay rebuilding of family relationship with the family, okay? Re-entry naman, on the other hand, the main focus of this phase is the preparation of the resident towards successful transition to his life in his or her respective community. Okay, so that is done, of course, after rehabilitation. So under this phase, dapat makitaan na natin yung mga resident or yung mga PDL that they are now ready to be released back to society as they demonstrated adequate self-control and discipline. So gaano siya katagal kinakandak? Okay? Kung yung pre-reentry natin ay 4 weeks, yung re-entry phase natin, it shall be for a period of 5 weeks. So kumbaga ito yung preparatory practice bago sila ibalik within the community. So kailangan makitaan muna natin sila ng self-control and discipline. Then the last phase is the aftercare. Okay, sa aftercare ba, nasa loob pa rin sila ng kulungan? Yes or no? Yes kung alpha. No naman, bravo. Sa aftercare ba, nasa loob pa rin sila ng kulungan? Yes or no? Okay, may sumagot si Laurio. Sabi niya ay no. Ayan, that is correct. Thank you, Mr. Laurio. So that is correct. Wala na sila sa loob ng kulungan dito sa aftercare because this is an outpatient program which requires client to report twice a week to an outreach center. So take note ilang beses magre-report sa outreach center? Every week. Okay, so kailangan nilang mag-report twice a week. Okay, so gagawin nila yan yung pagre-report sa outreach center. And then they are required to attend the group session to ensure their adjustment to life outside jail to reduce recidivism. That's the main purpose of the aftercare. Ganun mag-aruga ang BJMP. Nakalaya ka na pero kailangan ka pa rin i-monitor. And tatagal yung aftercare, hindi naman na habang buhay, kailangan minomonitor ka. Ano? Tumatagal yan ng 6 months. Okay? So yung aftercare program natin ay tumatagal yan ng 6 na buwan. Okay? So again, for the phase 1, that is the orientation or the entry phase. Doon lahat gagawin yung admission and classification ng resident or newly admitted resident. Kasama na dyan yung booking process, yung briefing, medical, and so on. And then yung primary treatment, mag-undergo doon sa 4 major programs ng BJMP. katulad nung work and livelihood, education, and vocational training. Yan, sa primary treatment na yun. Then after the primary treatment, we have the phase 3 or the pre-re-entry. Dito naman, building of family relationship, yung pinaka-core niya, ay ayusin yung relasyon ng mga PDL that about to be released dun sa kanilang mga pamilya at kinakandak yan ng 4 weeks. And after that, re-entry, ang inaayos naman dito is yung self-control and discipline ng mga PDL that are about to be released. At tumatagal naman yun ng 5 weeks. So aftercare, after makalaya, they are required or the clients are required to report twice a week to an outreach center. So huwag niyo makakalimutan yung phase 1 hanggang phase 5 ng BJMP. Next, we'll proceed with the behavioral or behavior shaping tool. So that is employed or it is employed to strengthen the learning process and the practice of more adaptive behaviors within the social learning environment. Okay. Wait lang . So sa behavioral shaping tool or behavior shaping tool, take note, meron tayong sinusunod dito na level. Okay, so starting with the talk to hanggang umabot yan ng ano na yung pinakadulo ng ano natin, talk to, and then yung pinakadulo, yung pinaka po pwede nilang ma-reach. Anyone from the viewers can comment ano yung pinaka-top, hindi yung bands, expulsion. Okay, so expulsion yung pinaka-worst na po pwedeng mangyari sa kanila. So let's try to understand ano ba yung behavior shaping tool. Okay, now take note that under the behavior shaping tool, meron din tayong tinatawag na pre-morning meeting at yung tinatawag na morning meeting. Okay, so everyday kinakandak yan para sa mga residents. Take note, pag nag-undergo ng therapeutic community sa loob ng kulungan, ang tawag sa kanila ay residents. Pero kapag ka naman outside jail or prison, ang tawag sa kanila ay client. Okay? So isa yan sa mga dapat niyong tandaan. Ano? So pre-morning meeting, kinakandak yan everyday, and that is for a period of 15 minutes. Okay? Yung participants natin sa pre-morning meeting is yung mga senior residents and counselors. So the purpose is to discuss the attitude of the house the previous day. Ginagawa yan sa pre-morning meeting. Pinag-uusapan nila kung ano ba yung naging ugali, kung ano yung mga naging activity the other day. So also the senior members, they formulate solutions. Silang gumagawa ng solution based dun sa mga problem na nag-occur the other day. Okay? And then doon na rin pinag-uusapan sa pre-morning meeting yung mga activities na gagawin nila all throughout the day. Now, again, for the pre-morning meeting, ang participants natin dito ay senior residents and counselors. Then after the pre-morning meeting, magkakandak ngayon ng tinatawag na morning meeting. So yung morning meeting naman, ang itinatagal niyan ay 1 oras. So the same with pre-morning na daily ginagawa din yung morning meeting 1 hour daily. And yung participants na natin dito, lahat. Okay, all residents and counselors. So the purpose of the morning meeting, dyan sila nag-prayer, may morning prayer dyan, national anthem, discussion of the TC philosophy, and also the conduct of pull-up. Diba? Yung pull-up dyan, yung ini-encourage yung pagkakaroon ng accountability. Okay, kasi yung pull-up, diba, kung matatandaan nyo, kinakandak yan kapag yung ating violator is unknown. So ginagawa yung pull-up, okay, every morning meeting. So doon tinatanong kung sino yung mga naka-violate na hindi kilala at ang purpose doon ay magkaroon ng accountability yung mga violators. Okay? So next natin, let's talk about the major tools of the behavior shaping tool. Number 1 is the talk to. Okay? So talk to, that is an outright correction done by any member. So maaaring kahit sino yan, maaaring yan ay bago lang din, maaaring yan ay senior resident. Kaya nga yan ay any member of the TC. and it is conducted to another member at ang nagawa nila or ang nakumit nila ay minor infraction. So ang kailangan yung tandaan dito sa talk 2, kung sino yung nakakita. Okay, so any member na nakakita na merong ginawang violation which is minor infraction, yung isang resident, but it is not aware of it and done in a friendly manner and privately. So kung hindi napansin yung kapwa resident na meron siyang nagawang mali, di ba? At nakita yan ng kapwa resident niya, pwede siyang i-correct, pwede siyang kausapin in a friendly manner and privately. So yun yung kailangan yung tandaan dito. Kapag ang tinatanong, di ba, what tool of BSP is done in a friendly manner and privately, and that is no other than talk 2. Okay, so ang gumagawa niyan, any member of the TC. Basta yung nakakita. Okay, nakakita dun sa nag-commit ng minor infraction. What about the pull-ups? So after the talk 2, we have the pull-ups or the pull-up. So it is done as a result of lack, miss or lapses in awareness in a resident. So take note that the pull-up, it is done when the violator is unknown. Ang ibig sabihin, hindi nakita. Okay? Pero may violation. Example dyan, yung hindi nakapagbuhos sa CR. Diba? Umagang-umaga, pagpasok mo, nakita mo may gearbox, hindi pinlash. Okay? Or di kaya naman yung ihi, hindi shoot doon sa bowl. Kalat yung ihi niya, paikot sa bowl. So meaning, merong violation. Diba? Violation yan. So, it must be validated first prior to bringing up in the morning meeting. Pag-uusapan muna yan sa pre-morning meeting. Okay, kailangan mo nang i-validate yan kung dapat ba talagang magkaroon ng pull-up. So, yung pull-up, again, ginagawa yan during the morning meeting. And the purpose of doing the pull-up is to encourage accountability. Okay, dahil nga yung violator dito ay hindi kilala, ang ini-encourage dito ay kailangan umamin. Kailangan magkaroon ng accountability na aminin mo na ikaw yung nagkamali. Okay? So that is for pull-up. So pull-up, lahat ng members ay included dyan. Kasama lahat. Okay? So under the dealt with, it is done when negative behavior or infraction to the house rules or norms are done for the second time of same offense by a resident. Okay? So kung dun sa talk 2, isang beses ka palang nag-commit ng minor infraction or minor violation, talk to lang yan. Sa dealt with naman, kapag ka naulit, okay, nakita ka na, hindi ka nagbuhos, okay, pinagsabihan ka na in a friendly manner and privately, tapos inulit mo pa. So, ang kailangan yung tandaan dito, it is committed or the same offense is committed by the same resident. Okay? So, dito magkakaroon na ng panel. So, hindi na siya basta-basta para kang magre-research dito. Ano, meron kang 3 panel. And they are composed of a senior resident, peer, and the friend. So, yung peer, anyone in the TC, therapeutic community ay po pwede. Okay? And then, friend. Okay? So, yung friend, ibig sabihin, yung madalas mong makasama dun sa group. So, they are tasked to deliver a serious and stern reprimand to the subject resident. So, dito talaga, hindi na siya hindi na siya friendly, hindi na siya ganun ka-friendly, but rather it is more serious. Then may warning na talaga na kapag inulit mo pa yan, baka may mas malalang mangyari. Parang ganun. Okay? Then haircut. After the dealt with is haircut. So haircut is done when negative behaviors or infraction to the house rule in same offense are done for the 3rd time or more or harsher and more exaggerated grade offense. Okay? So, anong pinagkaiba nito kay talk 2 at dealt with? Kay talk 2, isang beses lang eh. Kay dealt with, dumalawa. Kay haircut, ito tumatlo na. Pangatlong beses na at same offense. Pero lahat ay minor infraction lang. Pero yung haircut, pwede rin yan for the first time, pero yung nagawa niya ay hindi na minor infraction, but rather grave na. Ibig sabihin, malala na yung offense na nagawa niya. Okay? So, it will be given. Sinong magbibigay ng haircut? Hindi ito yung kakalbuhin ka. Okay? Hindi ito yung literal na haircut. It will be given by the department head and 4 other residents with the tone of more serious and can be loud, harsher, and more exaggerated. Okay, so sino yung ano na yun? Sino yung apat na residents na yan? Sino yung mga involved dyan? So sa haircut, ang involved dito, aside from the department head, kasama dyan yung senior resident, isang peer, and then yung big brother. Okay, yung big brother. So they will be asked, yeah, if he knows the reason for his appearance. So yun yung pinaka-goal doon. Kapag pinatawag na yung violator, ang unang tanong sa kanya, tatanungin siya kung alam niya ba yung rason kung bakit siya nandoon. Di ba? Hindi ba namimiss yung OJT kapag nakakagawa kayo ng violation? Minsan, ang ini-employ ko dyan ay haircut. Okay? Bakit siya haircut? Kasi ako bilang OJT coordinator, ako yung department head. Then magtatawag ako ng other 4 residents. Maaaring yun si Press, maaaring yan ay si Sir Emerick or any OJT instructor. At ang minsan, pag di namin nagugustuhan yung sagot, ang boses namin doon can be more serious. Diba? Kaya pag nakikita nyo na akong sumisigaw sa gym, haircut na yan. It can be loud, harsher, and more exaggerated. Diba? Haircut. Kapag nakita nyo na ako nagwawala, ganun. Haircut na yan. Ayan na, nagwawala din si Sir Ernie dito. Okay, haircut na yon. Okay? Kasi kung minsan di kayo madaan sa talk to, hindi ba? Kinakausap kayo bilang mga kaibigan, mga interns, pakiusap lang. Sumunod tayo sa rules. So yan, kapatid. Dealt with kapag dumalawa ka at pinatawag kita sa Cleo office. Okay? Kasi umulit ka na eh. Pinagsabihan ka na nung una, umulit ka pa rin. Haircut kapag sumisigaw na ako. Nagwawala na ako. Okay? So this can be loud, harsher, and more exaggerated. May hawak pa akong megaphone. Okay? So learning experience tayo. Sa learning experience naman, it is an action or activity given to a resident who was subjected to haircut or general meeting who did an infraction to correct or modify behavior. It can be task-oriented, written task, and peer interaction. So dahil malala na yung ginawa mo, nakakommit ka na ng 3 na minor infraction or isang grave offense, di ba? Hindi naman po pwedeng wala lang mangyayari sa'yo. Diba? Kailangan mong mabigyan ng lesson. At ano yung lesson na yon? Sa TC, that is what we call learning experience. Okay? So yung learning experience natin, maaaring it is a written task, maaaring yan ay physical activity. So for example, 3 beses ka nang hindi nagtutupi ng higaan, maaaring ang ipagawa dyan, sa learning experience, ikaw lahat yung magtutupi. Or di kaya naman, ikaw lahat ang maghuhugas ng plato. Di ba, maaari din na physical or in kapag may morning prayer, during the morning meeting, ikaw yung magdadasal. Ikaw din yung mag-i-initiate ng mga program. Ayan, yung mga pwede sa learning experience. Kumbaga, ang purpose nito ay para hindi na maulit yung mga violation. Magkaroon kumbaga ng parang redress, di ba? Para ma-prevent natin na maulit pa yung nangyaring infraction. Then next one is the bans. Okay? So it coexists with the learning experience. They are equal pagdating dun sa kanilang level. So sometimes learning experience is also referred as bans. Okay? Kasi under the bans, yung sanctions dito, member who committed repeatedly or commit repeatedly infraction or violation to the cardinal rules is by prohibiting them, pinoprohibit sila or dinidisallow sila o di kaya naman nililimitahan yung pagsali nila sa mga affiliation or activity. Okay, so that is what we call bans. If you are prohibited, disallowed, or limited to join an activity or affiliation, that is what we call bans. Okay? Then after that is general meeting. Okay, so under the general meeting, the issue should be discussed with the community. So to point out to the violator the negative effect of the behavior had on the community. So ano yung mga example kung kailan pwedeng ipatawag yung general meeting? Okay, so maaari nila ay sexual acting out, di ba, with a fellow resident. Kumbaga nahuli kayo na nung nahulog yung sabon, biglang na lang pumasok, hindi dapat pumasok. O kaya nahuli kang nagsosolo. Ayan, bawal yan, that is sexual acting out. Diba? Katabi mong matulog yung kapwa mo lalaki tapos nag-report, hinimas-himas daw siya. paggising niya, masakit yung kanyang exit. Nung kinaumagahan, di na siya makalakad ng maayos. That's the time, kailangan na natin magpatawag ng general meeting dyan. Okay? Or di kaya naman taking drugs or engaging in physical fight with other resident. Kailan nangyayari yung general meeting? Parang sa OJT lang din yan eh. Di ba kapag may malaking problema, anong gagawin natin? Kapag may problema tayo, let's say for example, nahuli na nag-vape, nagsisigarilyo habang naka-duty sa station, di kaya naman nabalitaan, nag-away, anong ginagawa namin bilang mga OJT instructor nyo or OJT coordinator? Di ba madalas nagpapatawag tayo ng general meeting? Okay, para doon natin pag-usapan. Pero yung general meeting ko kasi may kasamang haircut yun. Okay, iba yung general meeting doon sa BJMP. Ako kasi pagka nag-general meeting, haircut, exaggerated tone, louder, sigaw ng sigaw, galit na galit. So general meeting, hindi ganun. Kukonsensyahin. Okay? Dito magkakaroon ng pagkukonsensya. Parang ang mag-a-accept ng fault kung bakit nangyari yon is not, kumbaga, hindi yung violator, but rather yung mismong mga department head, yung mga senior resident, yung kanyang peer, yung kanyang big brother. Doon sila sa harap magsasalita na parang, mga kapatid, patawarin niyo ako bilang inyong department head. Isa sa ating mga kasamahan ay nakita kong lululok nung kaninang umaga bilang pagkakamali, bilang pagkukulang, bilang department head, hindi ko sinasadya, ito rin ay parte ng, kumbaga, ako din ay may kasalanan. Ganun siya. Okay, kukonsensyahin yung violator sa general meeting. Ngayon, kailan siya ginagawa? Okay, take note hindi ito ginagawa ng pre-morning meeting, hindi rin siya ginagawa ng morning meeting. Pwede siyang ipagawa any time of the day. Basta merong talagang grave offense, katulad ng sexual acting out, yan, taking drugs, or nag-away. Patawag ka agad yan, general meeting ka agad yan. Okay? Then, ano yung gagawin dun sa mga violator na incorrigible? And they already becomes a threat to the community. Oh, by the way, yung community na tinutukoy dito, hindi yung community outside the jail or prison. Yung community na tinutukoy dito, yung ban or yung environment sa loob ng kulungan. May community rin kasi yung tawag doon. So, if they are incorrigible, yung mga residents ay incorrigible, and they already become a threat, lahat na lang napagdaanan niya mula talk to hanggang general meeting, pero wala pa rin pagbabago, di ba? Ang nangyari dito, expulsion. Okay, so the director, with the recommendation of the disciplinary board, pwede na siyang i-transfer doon sa nearest jail facility with the appropriate court order. Yun lang yung kailangan yung matandaan. Siyempre, hindi mo yan pwedeng ilipat nang walang approval coming from the court. Okay, so ganun yung mangyayari. Ngayon, sa OJT, umaabot ba tayo ng expulsion? Diba? Hindi naman, kahit na ikaw ay incorrigible, hindi ko naman nakakayaan na malipat ka ng Gallego. Hindi ko naman nakakayaan na malipat ka ng Lacson, kaya walang expulsion sa atin. Hanggang general meeting at haircut lang tayo. Pero wala akong in-expulsion sa inyo. Wala akong sinabihan na umalis ka na dito sa EU. Isa ka ng banta sa criminology department. Kailangan mong lumayas, pumunta ka ng Gallego. Walang ganun. Di ba? At hindi ko rin yan ni-request kay Dean. Kahit na kayo ay mga masasamang intern. Hindi ko ni-request kay Dean na sobra na po ang intern na to. Kailangan na siyang i-expulsion. Diba? Wala namang nangyaring ganun. Okay? So that is the simple explanation for the behavioral or behavior shaping tool. Okay? So naintindihan ba? Naging klaro ba sa inyo to? Kasi lumalabas ko sa exam eh. Okay, so dali natin yan into question. Ayan. So which phase or what phase in the treatment stage of the BJMP Reformation Center is devoted for the resident to work on different goals identified in his or her treatment plan? So saang phase yan? So anong phase yan ng treatment stage? Wherein the resident is devoted, they are devoted for the resident to work on different goals identified. Saan yan? Pre-re-entry, re-entry, orientation phase, or court treatment? Nga pala, nag-aantay ako ng emoji. Sa ano nga pala dapat? Ang sagot dito? So kapag wino-workout na yung different goals which is identified in the treatment plan na na-assess during the orientation phase, of course, for treatment na yan. Okay, take note of that. So kapag wino-workout na yung mga different goals which is identified in the treatment plan, that is the core treatment or the primary treatment. So balikan natin kapag pre-re-entry, ang purpose niyan is to build the family relationship. Okay, kinakandak yan 4 weeks. Re-entry naman, ang binibuild na dito is yung relationship with the community outside. Okay? So that is for a period of 5 weeks naman. Tinitingnan na doon sa re-entry is kung meron na ba ang kumbaga parang disiplinado na ba yung mga residents. Okay? Next. So what phase in the treatment stage of the BJMP Reformation Center focuses on rebuilding of relationship with family. Rebuilding of relationship with family, of course, that is pre-re-entry. Gaano siya katagal? Gaano katagal yung pre-re-entry natin? 4 weeks. Okay, 4 weeks. Gaano katagal yung orientation phase? Maximum of 30 days. Okay? Yung core treatment, wala siyang, wala siyang basis. Depende na yan kung gaano katagal makukulong doon sa loob ng BJMP. Okay? Next. So what phase in the treatment stage of the BJMP focus on the preparation of the resident towards successful transition to life in his or her respective community after rehabilitation. So that is what we call re-entry. Okay? And re-entry is for a period of 5 weeks. Okay? So ang pinaka titingnan dyan sa re-entry is yung preparation ng resident towards successful transition to life outside jail. Okay? Then, gaano katagal ang re-entry? Okay, so the answer is 5 weeks. Thank you. So yung pre-re-entry naman is 4 weeks. Yung re-entry natin is 5 weeks. Okay? Now, which statement describes aftercare phase? Si Talpa, the phase that requires clients to report twice a week to an outreach center. Bravo, the phase which focuses on rebuilding of relationship with family. Charlie, the phase which focuses on the preparation of the resident in the community. And Delta, the phase is to assist the newly admitted resident to engage into his or her treatment. Diba? Define natin one by one. Ano yung Delta? Anong phase yan? The phase is to assist the newly admitted resident to engage into his or her treatment. That is the core or the primary treatment. Yung Charlie naman, focuses on the preparation of the resident in the community is re-entry. Yung Bravo naman, focuses on rebuilding of relationship with family is pre-re-entry. So the answer is Alpha. Okay, under the aftercare phase, it requires the client to report twice a week to an outreach center. Kung mapapansin nyo, client na yung term na ginagamit. Bakit? Kasi nga nangyayari na yung rehabilitation outside jail or prison. Pero kung yung reformation and rehabilitation ay nangyayari pa sa loob ng jail, okay, ang tawag sa kanila ay resident. Okay? So outside, they are called client. Inside, they are called resident. Okay? Next. Which of the following best describes the purpose of Talk 2? Talk 2. Is it Alpha, a public reprimand of a team member for a serious infraction? Bravo, a friendly correction made by any team member to address a minor infraction? Ito siguro hindi ginawa ng mga intern o baka hindi ko lang nakita, baka hindi ko lang pala alam na ginagawa na pala yan ng mga intern ko. Kapag ka nakita nila yung kanilang kapwa intern na may maling ginagawa, let's say for example, nag-debate, uy buddy, huwag mong gawin yan, baka makita tayo nila sir. Diba? That is Talk 2. Okay? C, an official written warning issued by a team leader for repeated mistake. Or Delta, a mandatory team meeting to discuss collective infraction. So yung Delta, that is for general meeting. Okay? Charlie, maaaring yan ay learning experience. Bravo, that is the correct answer. That is top 2. Then yung alpha naman, pwede yan for haircut kasi serious infraction na kaagad. Okay? Next. So in which scenario would the pull-up be most appropriately used? Okay. Si Talpa, when a team member makes a significant error that needs immediate correction. Bravo, when an infraction has been committed and the violator is unknown. Charlie, when a team leader needs to announce new policies to the entire team. And Delta, when a team member needs positive reinforcement for good performance. Okay? So majority got the correct answer. Of course, that is the Bravo is the correct answer. Okay? Kapag may infraction and then the violator is unknown, pull up yung pinaka gagamitin natin dyan. Pero minsan nagbibigay din sila ng mga scenario. Let's say for example, nakita mo na, say for example, hindi mo nakita yung violator pero maraming kalat na nakakalat na plato, hindi nahugasang plato. Ayan. Basta ang keyword natin dyan, the violator is unknown, that is pull up. Okay? Pero kapag nakita mo at minor infraction lang yan, corrected by any member of the TC, that is top 2. Okay? Now, which of the following scenarios would warrant a dealt with response? Si Talpa, a resident commits a minor infraction for the first time. Bravo, a resident commits a minor infraction for the second time. So Charlie, a resident commits a minor infraction for the third time. Then Delta, a resident commits a minor infraction for the fourth time. So yung alpha natin, minor infraction for the first time at nakita naman, di ba? Kung nakita yan, talk to. Kung hindi nakita, pull up. So yung dealt with, ginagawa yan if the resident commits a minor infraction for the second time. So ang ano natin dito, kailangan same offender. Okay, hindi po pwedeng, hindi, kunwari, nakita mo, makalat yung CR. Tapos nakilala mo na yung violator. The other day, makalat na naman yung CR, pero iba naman yung violator. Hindi pa dealt with yun. Ginagawa yung dealt with kapag same yung offender. Or same, not offender, same yung violator. Okay? So kapag kaya na third time na, that is haircut. Kapag fourth time na yan, baka umabot na yan sa expulsion or general. Not general native, baka umabot na yan sa learning experience at saka sa expulsion. Kasi paulit-ulit na eh. What about the purpose of bans? Which statement describes the purpose of bans? Is it Talpa? To give the member a chance to participate in different activities. Bravo. To disallow or limit an activity or affiliation to a group. Charlie. To reward the member for their contributions to the group. And Delta, to increase the members' involvement in group activities. So, ang purpose ng bans, of course, disallow or limiting the activity or affiliation to a group. Okay? So, that's the end for